Hey, welcome back everybody. So I'm going to do something I haven't done before. I don't even know what I'm going to call this yet. But I'm going to start off by showing you one more time Texas Old School deck designed by Weissman. And I had this whole nother tech about what I've learned so far in Texas Old School, what I find with it. And by doing this new version, which Brian himself is very sure is better than his EC deck. Not quite sure about that, truthfully, but from what I played, this deck is insane, honestly. And I played Swedish decks with it. I did post one against, a version of the deck, but it was a heavy Sarah Angel creature type version. Mind Twist is definitely powerful, so I'm just going to talk about a few things and show you how I convert back and forth to all the different sets, and just a couple little thought processes, maybe making this like a Swedish type deck. So I'm going to get rid of this photo here, and we're going to start off with a few changes here. So I know we talked about Ivory Tower and Hive. Ivory Tower is in my main deck, Hive is in my sideboard, right? Well, Hive is not really necessary. Hive is inferior to Mana Short. Mana Short will win you the game a lot faster because it will force your opponents to tap out, and you'll kill them with other things and have the game completely under control. I don't need to make 15 Wasp counters or 4 Wasp counters in reality to try and kill somebody when I can empty their entire hand, dump their mana pool, empty their entire hand, and win the game hands down with Mind Twist or something like that anyway. So this card has now been replaced with Mana Short. Ivory Tower from the main, I never really use it. It's going to be replaced with Divine Offering, and Ivory Tower will go on the sideboard if for some reason, which I have not come into play yet, a crazy burn deck or something like that, but I have not had a problem with decks. Mainly because Moat is greater than Abyss. In a lot of cases. I'm realizing that in certain formats, Moat is absolutely greater than Abyss. So that being said, this is the land layout for Texas Old School. Okay? So let's just have some fun here real quick. So what cards are we really missing to make this more Swedish or other formats, right? So typically you have these cards here. Maybe another tome, definitely a twist, library, possibly some more factories, some cities of brasses to add your factories in. So let's give this a quick rundown. This is probably going to be really easy, right? So if we were making this a Swedish, I would remove my sideboard Amnesia, right? And here it is. My main deck one with the signatures on it go into the sideboard, and Mind Twist to go into a main, keeping your 4 disenchants and your extra Divine Offering, right? Okay, so as we look through here, and there's the picture and Ancestor Recalls, all your power, there's really not much of a difference. Here's the balance I did for my kiddo. Here's your Moat. Here's your one tome. I rarely ever use it. Otherwise, the concept is there. Now I have the combo I like. Divine Offering and Mirror Universe. And with 3 in the sideboard, it's fine. You have your Sarah Angels. There's really not that much difference between this and the deck. The only thing we're missing is maybe one more tome. And I'm be totally honest with you here, I don't know what I would cut for a tome, because Sylvan Library I should say, is actually extremely powerful in this deck. And it's not, oh my god, it's not going to draw me extra cards. Well, kind of. Right here. Here's another good reason. So I'm not exactly sure if I would put another tome in, which sounds really odd because I'm a tome lover. I love tomes. But when I can filter 3 cards, and if I have this down, I can play this card knowing I have it protected. Short you out. You can't do anything on your turn. You probably don't even have cards in your hand because I'm sceptering you to death at this point. So even if you were trying to burn me out or anything like that, if you're burning me out, you're typically not going to have a lot of cards in hand. I'm going to get rid of your cards in hand. I'll be able to Sullivan Library for an extra counter spell. I'll be able to play my Mirror Universe, protect it with multiple counter spells, switch lives, and kill you. Sounds a little crazy. Or I can just play the trick I normally do and really never switch lives. I just play this guy. You burn the crap out of yourself in the formats with mana burn, and I use Sullivan Library. So it may not be as strong in Swedish, but I'm just going to toy around with some thoughts here and show you guys a couple different things, and then I'm going to show you the conversion deck and explain to you what a conversion deck is if you're not familiar with it. So this is my little fun thought process. I could throw this in sideboard in Swedish, it's less useful, or replace it, but I actually really like the format. I love Mirror Universe. It stops a lot of burn straight out. They will not burn me anymore, they will stop. Yeah, my kid's excited, so say hello and good morning. But they won't burn you because they're scared to death. If they can't kill you instantly, they're going to stop and panic. And then they end up burning themselves, or how much control does a counter burn really have? How many counter spells does Blinded Bolt run? Like you gotta think about that for a minute. These main, other than the deck, these heavy like 13 bolts are quick, down and dirty. But how quick and down and dirty are you when I can remove your creatures and stop anything from the ground from attacking? Empty your hand very easily, control your board. I don't really have a problem. I played this against Arabian aggros and all kinds of stuff, and I haven't had an issue. So that's really the major difference between this and the other one, is really just Mind Twist and some lands. So I might actually toy around and run something like this, even without sitting a bottle in it and those things, because I don't need it. I don't care. You don't run it in the deck anyway. But I might just do this. Stay with one tome. And just keep these changes for the main deck. I love Greed. Greed goes very well with it. There's a Wrath of God if I need. But as you see, nothing really changes in here compared to the new version that's going to be played that I went over with you. There's a couple, lands I'm going to throw in here. Definitely want to throw a library in, right? So how can we throw a library in? Well, Volcanic Island's in here for a red source. So what if we remove and add a City of Brass? Another thing to let you know, in case you haven't watched some of the videos, is I haven't had any issues with land destruction decks. It's just not a problem because I don't play 4 factories. You have a lot of extra color fixing, so you don't need to worry about it. It allows me to play 2 islands and a plains. I'm not going to get blood moon. It's not going to happen. And even if it did, which it did in a couple games, and the other version I played for 4 Horsemen, it didn't bother me. Because 4 Horsemen plays Triskelions main, because they're angels. So in this version here, it would bother me a little, but it's almost impossible to successfully blood moon. So if I put this in and get the red, it gives me the extra black I need. I could go as far as doing this to drop a tropical. Because technically I just added 2 green, but if I want to stay with the same amount of blue, I can replace another blue. So basically, I could really cut, because I am kind of heavy on blue, I could really cut another tropical. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now here's 3 of these. If I wanted to, I could swap the tome out, but I kind of like the tome, the library for tome. I like Sullivan's library. I think it's working really well with the card types in here. But I can probably get away with losing this guy too. So it just depends on what we do. I'm not really crazy on, it sounds kind of weird, but I'm not crazy at Mishra's Factories at the moment. They're awesome cards. I love them. I'm thinking maybe, obviously I have to play test this thing out, but I lose 3 green. I gain 2 green. But this is where we can make a difference. So we were talking about Sylvan Library, right? So what if Sylvan Library became a second book? What if you just ran 2 books? Okay, you keep the Mirror Universe in there to stop burn decks, and these other decks right in their tracks. People will stop attacking you if they can't kill you because you're just going to switch lives with them. So it gives you a lot of options. So what if we did something like that? We still have greed, so it's not like we're losing anything. We do lose the filtering, which is awesome, and the pairing with Mirror Universe, but greed pairs with it really well too. So if we do something like that, I don't miss the color, and I can throw an extra one in here. So now we have 2 in case we need them. Library of Alexandria. We still have your color fixes. We don't need as much green anymore. So we have plenty of green and plenty of red. We only really need 4 if we're only playing 1 card. So, and what I say by 4 is don't forget these are lands, but here's your arena sources. I'll put the ruby out front here. Okay. So the only green card I'm running now is this guy. So what do we really need all the extra green for? I don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, possible 5 if absolutely necessary. It's the same with Fireball. You really only need 3, 4, possible max 5 with Lotus. That's all you really need because it's only 1 spell in your entire deck. I'm not running green in my sideboard. I'm not running red in my sideboard. And if I run Moat, I don't need a COP red. COP reds are not for burn. COP reds are for goblin decks and those fast weenies in red to try and get through. But the problem with all those decks that they have is they don't run a lot of enchantment removals, and there's a card in here called Moat. Watch what that does to those decks. You don't need COPs anymore. That's why Brian, after he won a championship, if you watch this text, he'll tell you, or if you ever talk to him, he'll tell you straight out, I don't need 2 COPs in there. It's pointless. So that's my thought process here if I was going to play around and how I use lands. I would like to fit 2 more, but like I said, here's the reason behind why I'm not putting 2 more in. This is a lot of colored source lands. You have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 colored lands. Typically, in a deck that runs 20 lands, you're running 4 factories. Library in this anyway, so 4, 5, 6. I have more colored land sources in here than your average decks do anyway. And 2 basic islands and a plains is going to make sure I don't get blood mooned, and I don't have a problem with those things at all. I have the Mox in here. I have a Lotus and a Soul Ring. I have plenty of mana in here. The mana is pretty much for end of turn tomes and my turn disrupting scepters. That'll make sure that you don't have a card in hand. I will make you discard that counterspell before you can use it. That's why they protect your creatures. You can't cast a counterspell if I remove it from your hand first, can you? Alright. So this is what I'm gonna try in the tournament today, I think. It sounds a little crazy, but I have a small tournament. I'm gonna try and get the games recorded there for you. It's a little dicey weather, and some people had some major family challenges going on, so I pray for all them, and hopefully things work out for them. But there's still going to be a good crew there, so we're gonna test this out. But let me know your thoughts on this and what you think. So I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to go over the second part of this on excuse me, how I actually change this stuff around. So we're just going to leave this right here, right in the corner. Take these and put them in here. You'll see exactly why in a second. Alright, ready for this? What do you think this is? Looks like a deck, doesn't it? No, this is the conversion deck. So here's your COPs, the Earthquake, the Extra Tome, your Sinkholes. Okay, starting to realize what decks these go in. This is for basically the Abyss version, but for Atlantic. If I'm playing Atlantic, Greed is not going to be as powerful, so I'm going to run Earthquake instead of Greed for Atlantic. These are in here just for play testing for me, so you probably don't need these in your conversion stuff. But this is something I was testing, and I found out that Brian was right. They're not nearly as strong. But maybe in Atlantic I don't need as many Sinkholes. So maybe I might sneak one or two of these in there as a surprise. I don't know. They're over here with my Wand of Ith as testing cards. Now Wand of Ith is definitely not in anything except for 4 Horsemen. And it's pretty crappy. But we're going to try it because it'll allow me to make an opponent make a hard choice. For 3 mana, just like a Disrupting Scepter, are you going to discard your card, or are you going to lose life equal to its casting cost? And even if you lose life, it tells me what's in your hand. Well, what am I doing with my deck? I'm wiping your hand out. So if I know you have a counter spell in your hand, and you paid the life to keep it, all I have to do is draw a counter spell and amnesia your hand, and you're done. So it gives me information. So on that route, I'm just going to try it. It's probably going to fail miserably. Here's one of the abysses. Here's the Strip Mines. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, there's my 2 abysses. Okay, so here's the 2 abysses, in case you need 2 abysses. I'm just going to stack all these up and explain to you kind of what I'm doing. I'll skip a lot of this because a lot of this actually is all of this. There's the extra recall. Some versions you may say 1 less Sinkhole, possibly a 2nd recall. But then you'll start running into this package here. Alright, well here's your stones. Okay, so here's 3 stones right here for, oh, there she is. There's the 4th. But if you see where I'm going with this, this is the conversion package. So one of the decks runs 3 stones, right? So you see, you need stones for blue, basically, because you're going to have 4 Strip Mines. So your Felwar stones give you the color you need to cast your blue blasts and stuff like that. That's really why they're in there. So in 4 Horsemen, you don't have Moxes. So this is your extra ramp, right? And we need creature control, because I don't have real counter spells and stuff, right? So here's a great life gain tool to use at someone's end step. There's Coffin, that's a good way to protect your creatures and to really screw out your Skellions. Here's Oubliettes, it's just enchantment, but basically it's like a plow. Here's Pyrotechnics, that's your fireball. Maze of Ith, we all know what that is. Another city in case I need it. Here's Nova Pentacle, if I don't run creatures. Yeah, let's see what your damage can do to me then when you're blowing up your own stuff. all I can do is nuke it with a Triskelion, put my Triskelion back in my coffin. So if you Nova Pentacle and I have one of these out, I have these 3 cards out, you're dead, because you can't burn me, you can't attack me, because whatever you do, I'm going to redirect it to a creature in play. You can choose my creature, but if I'm sitting here like this, what creature are you going to pick? None, right? You have to pick your own. So if you have a creature, you're going to damage your own creature, so you did no damage to me at all. I can hide my Triskelion under my coffin, bring him back. So if you do damage to me in response, I can ping once for every creature you have. So say you're going to swing in for, 7 damage or something, and you have an 8 toughness creature. In response, I'm going to ping all your creatures that won't instantly die with the redirected damage with 1 more. What is that going to do? That's going to probably kill them. So if I need 2 more damage on a creature that I'm redirecting, I'll ping it for 2, ping you for the rest, and shove it in a coffin. And then basically, when that source successfully does the combat damage or the spell damage to me, it is now redirected. Well, the spelling is not in play. So now you have to choose a creature in play, and it's your own. So now you just kill your own creatures. So you gotta be careful attacking, because pre-attack I can just ping all your stuff, hide it under coffin in response to your combat basically, and do the same thing too. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. Counter spells, that's where remove souls are from. You want a couple of them because they get rid of the creatures. You want a couple boomerangs, another oubliette. I run 4 spiritlings, but here's 3. But I'm just kind of going through. Here's another tome. It's good for filtering. And as you see here, I do run 4 scrub lands in there because I need the double blacks right away. Here's a king just in case I need it. Now we're starting to get into some possible sideboards. These have been replaced. This is in there basically in case of energy flux. Same with these guys. 1 dust to dust. Here's your anti-blood moons. This is going away. These guys are going to go away. Crypt might stay, probably going away. Dust to dust really not necessary either. And here's my other Triskelion. I play 2 main. But if you look, this whole package here is the conversion and test. But check it out. But when I was talking to you guys, and some of you guys were asking me, how do you go back and forth, and they were confused when I said, hold on, I got to convert. This is exactly what I'm doing, and I have a list of all my decks with all the versions in it on my phone, and I just go line by line, and then I double check it when I'm done, and this is how I convert between all the formats. So Brian and I were talking, and I kind of made it a mission to make the deck in every single format. So I took 4 horsemen, and I'm making 1 in there. It's not as strong of a format like that, but so far so good. But there's cards in there I can replace with. And then you can always test things out. Some people like hymns. Brian and I both find that hippies are far superior to the Taurogs. But if I can run 4 in my sideboard and say, if I don't need 3 sinkholes, maybe I run 2 sinkholes and a hymn, that single hymn might be the game changer. So that might be my way of getting a counterspell out of your hand. Hymn you first, and then wipe your hand out. So, don't know if you enjoyed this video or not. I hope you do. But that's everything I'm learning as I'm going through stuff here. Sorry, my son is literally on top of my head right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. And hope it gave you some information. And if you have any thought processes or questions or anything, please just hit me up or join the Discord and join the discussions and stuff. I throw everything on there that's possible. We talk through things, play test in there, learn from each other, stuff like that. So, but amnesia is devastating. So I'm going to keep that thing in my sideboard Because if I'm running against another version of the deck, and I have a Mind Twist and an Amnesia, and I'm running 2 Disrupting Scepters, so let's just play for 1 second here. If I'm running against a version of another control, okay, say whether it's Millstone or whatever it is, so I'll lay something out here real quick for you. How do you think control decks are going to hold up to that? What do you guys think? You think that'll mess up a control deck? It's a lot of things you got to worry about. If I Mind Twisted you early on, I can Mana Short you, take away your mana pool, take away your ability to stop me later, and when it changes over to my turn, I can Amnesia. Now what am I going to do later on when I get a Recall or Regrowth? I'm going to get my Mind Twist back. So now I got a Mind Twist again. So the whole time, I can wipe your whole hand out. So if you Brain Geyser, say you top deck a Brain Geyser, and you draw the whole thing, or you draw a, Time Twister or something, and you get your whole hand back after a Mind Twist, you usually laugh about it, be like, wow, it's a perfect counter, right? Well, buddy, be careful, bud. Well, the fun part is, there's Amnesia. So if I just Mind Twisted you, now you gotta think in the back of your head, oh crap. Well, what if he Amnesia's my whole hand? So if I Time Twister, I'm for the most part tapping myself out, or if I'm tapping out for a huge Brain Geyser. If I get an Amnesia, game's over. And if any of those things happen, and I can't stop your draw engines, that's where it goes. But if I stop your draw engines, I can keep you with no cards in your hand. And these guys will just kill you. They'll win the game hands down. So that's the thought process. But I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens and have some fun with it. You guys let me know what you think and have some fun.